Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
It's 5:07. It's O'Connor and Company. Buckle up. Get ready for 4 hours of a deep dive expose. It turns out Brigitte Macron is not a woman. And Julie's done a lot of research on this, and she's going to lead this conversation. Julie, so excited to have you and your investigative journalistic skills at hand here to get to the bottom of the genital disposition of the First Lady of France. This is fantastic. All right, take it away.
Should I hang up now? Should I just?
Oh, are we? Are we not going to do 4 hours on Brigitte Macron?
No, we're not.
MK Ultra and the.
Well, you can, but I'm going to go get coffee.
This is what people crave, I've been told.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Maybe not. Maybe, just maybe, they want right-of-center thought leaders to band together and focus on the real problem here, which is the left destroying our country and our culture.
Thank you.
Let's do that. Cal Thomas will join the cause at 6:35. 7:05, he's Heritage's man. He's Dr. Kevin Roberts. 7:35 brings us Senator Ron Johnson. At 8:05, hey, it's Dr. Oz, Mehmet Oz, Administrator for the Centers of Medicare and Medicaid Services, where they're finding a whole lot of Obamacare fraud, right at a time where the Democrats want us to dump billions of dollars into that failing program. And then at 8:35, he's like a Hollywood hotshot actor. Actually, he's not out of Hollywood, I don't think. He is an actor. He is a singer. He is a devout Christian, and he is part of the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts Christmas Spectacular, Noel, Jesus is Born. Hold on a second. Wait a minute. Pause. Full stop. Explain this to me. I've lived here for, going on a decade and a half now. Quite a chunk of my life, Julie.
Yeah.
I don't remember the Kennedy Center ever doing a Christmas spectacular that has the word Jesus in the title.
Well, I think they might have used Jesus once, but that was...
No. I think that was the illegal alien who was brought in to conduct the orchestra. It was a special... And now
that's as close as they got. And let me tell you, they weren't happy with Jesus. They were like, can you go by something else?
Yeah.
Jose.
Right, exactly. And by the way, apparently he was really just manicuring the lawn of the former president. Because who else is going to do that job?
Right.
And then they said, we've got an idea. It's a brand new Christmas spectacular here at the Kennedy Center. A very undocumented Christmas. But then the problem is, during rehearsals, somebody demanded that they bring in some more ice for the craft services table, and half the cast ran away. No ice, no ice. And so then it was
all day,
troubling production. But yes, this is groundbreaking. I'm only half joking, but seriously, the Christmas spectacular usually over there is Winterfest. Look, it's snow time, everyone. It's snow season.
It's like Portland. We have a tree.
You're right. Why? What's that tree all about?
Don't talk about it. It's just a tree.
They'll throw you a bone and do Handel's Messiah.
Right, but, exactly.
Messiah's in quotation marks, and before they actually begin the concert, they acknowledge the stolen land and all of that stuff.
Right. There's a every sort of menorah and
right.
What's the other one that everyone
the Kwanzaa.
The fake,
yes.
The made up.
Well, yes. People don't know this, but they do a deep dive in an historic background of Handel's Messiah, and he was really, really inspiring the Kwanzaa movement at an early age.
I think he was black, actually.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, ultimately we all are, except when we're racist.
Right.
So, yeah.
Oh, dear.
The Christmas Spectacular at the Kennedy Center this year is called Noel, Jesus is Born. Because apparently this Christmas season that we all enjoy has something to do with Jesus being born.
Can you believe that?
I had no idea.
Wow.
This is why they're angry about it. And honestly, because I've sort of plugged into the performing arts community.
Yeah.
And they truly, you think that we're, being hysterical and mocking. And they are really mad at the artistic choices being made at the Kennedy Center.
Which are classic and family-friendly and beautiful. and they're just a wonderful tribute to sort of the human spirit, right? And creating these beautiful things instead of ugly things, which they love. They love everything ugly and destructive. Because the Kennedy Center's been doing ads on WMAL for, a year now, 2 years.
Well, going on about 10 and a half months. Gee, what happened? What happened 10 and a half months ago?
Yeah, I know. But it's just incredible, the things that the Kennedy Center is now producing. It's wonderful. I talked about how, Kennedy Center, you don't go there. I would never have gone to the Kennedy Center.
Because you weren't
there was never anything
you
playing
weren't
that was
welcome. They weren't trying to appeal to
absolutely.
you.
Yep.
Yeah. So very excited to speak with one of the lead actors of the Christmas Spectacular. It'll be safe to take your family there. They won't be focusing the entire thing on the plight of the indigenous shepherds. The real story of Christmas is the exploitation of the indigenous Palestinian Muslim shepherds. Muslim? Wait a second. This is hundreds of years before Muhammad. Don't argue with us. Look at the indigenous people there. Well, they were pagan. No, you don't understand. So excited to talk to Charles Billingsley about that. And this really is a legitimate issue, and I'm glad that we're, not only is the Kennedy Center righting its ship financially, but also programmatically. You may see some numbers at the end of the year that some of the attendance for some of the things are done. Of course, that always happens when you make a shift in your programming, and you see this with arts organizations all the time. When they bring in new people with a new vision and a new direction, yes, you're going to have a dip in attendance because all of the people that actually either A, liked the toxic programming that was dragging the organization down, or B, didn't actually like it, but they liked virtue signaling at cocktail parties, that they were part of it. I guarantee you, if they actually compared season ticket subscriptions to the Kennedy Center versus actual attendance to the Kennedy Center, they will see a huge disparity because people would keep, it was a bunch of rich elitists, lawyers and lobbyists and K Street types here in D.C. that would renew their subscription to the Kennedy Center, but because the performances were all junk, they didn't actually go to those things. They would maybe give the tickets away, or they would just let them, go dead and have empty seats in the house. But the numbers were there. Well, yeah, you're going to see a dip in numbers this year on some of the things. Not all the things. Les Miserables had a great run. Sound of Music had a great run. A lot of the national tours that came in had a great run. National Symphony Orchestra, I think, had a great season. But some things, the dance program at Kennedy Center, it's in trouble. There's been a lot of conflict because there was a lot of resistance to actually exploring new and traditional and more, grounded arts choices. But Symphony Orchestra, they picked right up with the new regime, and they've been doing an incredible job. It's going to take a couple of seasons to actually get those numbers back where it's going to be, but it will, because they're doing good quality work, and that's what ends up winning in the long run. And the real question is, again, just like any Democrat who wants to be president in 2028, you got to ask him a series of questions. One of them is, will you reverse the border policies at the border and go back to the Biden era? Number two question, can a man get pregnant? I would like to hear the answer to that question. Bigly. And now we should also ask, will you go back to doing nothing but trans and gay programming at Kennedy Center? And, children's shows about gender identity. Is that your plan? I want to hear what those candidates have to say. It is 5:15.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Rosie O'Donnell is nuts. She's crazy. She's absolutely, she is seriously either bipolar or at the very least suffering from chronic depression. And by the way, it predates Donald Trump. I love that everything's like, Trump broke her. No. Do you not remember her when she was on The View?
Oh.
Screaming about the 9/11 conspiracy theories and claiming
right.
that jet fuel can't burn hot enough to melt steel in the World Trade Center?
Absolute lunatic. And really a sort of a corrosive figure to our culture. Really damaged things. And is part of the reason we are where we are today, because she set that up on The View. That sort of attack mode that you're a bad person if you support who was president at the time. You know, it's
Bush, yeah.
Yes, which is so hilarious.
What they love now, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's my point. It's like, my God, she was unhinged about Bush.
Of course.
Right?
And you're right, and it normalized that. It normalized that behavior and the toxification of your friends if they vote differently.
Yep.
There's something about The View that is incredibly important, I think, when Barbara Walters first set it up, which is, number one, we ladies can have our own strong opinions about the news and politics, which is like, up until now you couldn't. And number two, we can discuss them, debate them, disagree, and still be friends. Rosie ruined that.
She did.
Rosie ruined that model. And if you notice now, they all agree with each other.
They do.
The decision wasn't, they didn't say, this is wrong. We should go back to what we were doing, which is disagree but still be friends. No. The idea was we all have to agree with each other. We all have to agree.
And Meghan McCain tells stories about how, she felt betrayed, how, she would be treated sort of behind the scenes, or how on air, they would try to humiliate her. And it sort of, I think it really rocked. I haven't obviously I've not talked to Meghan McCain about that, but she has talked publicly about how mean they were.
They were.
And I know you're friends
and backstage
with
they're producing. They all had their own writers and producers.
Yes, and they
everything.
specifically chose Alyssa Farrar not only because she was a traitor, very obviously willing to spill the tea, but because she hated Trump, and that's what they needed. That's what they needed.
And it's funny because it's not like Meghan McCain was a big fan of Trump, or is a big fan of Trump. Let's face it.
No, absolutely. Balls and strikes. She called balls and strikes.
But she was able to actually articulate the position of half of the women in America, the married women who were watching that show.
Yes.
Who never had a voice there. That's why Meghan was so powerful, because she would say, there are people out there who are watching who are good people who believe this and think this, and they destroyed her for it. Anyway, the reason we brought up Rosie O'Donnell and her history and how she is sort of the tip of the spear on some of the toxic culture that we have right now politically is that the Washington Post just did this glowing, sympathetic profile of her, Rosie O'Donnell's life in exile, which I thought she was moving to Ireland to get away from all of this.
Could the Washington Post look up words?
It's not exile.
She moved voluntarily. That's not exile.
And she hasn't been hiding. She's like...
exactly.
She hasn't removed herself from the equation. She, when your publicist calls and says, pitches a profile about someone, that's not exile.
I mean, why don't they? It would be better to say, like, the U.S. tires of ranting lunatic.
Yes.
She moves to Ireland for fresh audience. That's more accurate.
And I just want to point this out. When she does these interviews, when she goes on Piers Morgan or whoever has had her on, I think she also did, ABC had her. All these mainstream outlets, they have her on. Washington Post, glowing article about her. And when she does these interviews, she peddles conspiracy theories about the 2024 election. She is full of conspiracy theories about how Elon Musk stole the election. Mm-hmm. That he used his money to modify electronic voting machines, that he manipulated social media in Trump's favor, and that Trump is an illegitimate president. I was told, Julie, that if you have opinions about the disposition of a past election and you believe that in some way it was rigged, you are peddling in the big lie.
Yeah.
And that you should be removed from polite society. But it's funny how the Washington Post and all these networks as well treat Rosie O'Donnell a little differently when she dabbles in the exact same toxic stuff.
They do. Well, in their defense, they are terrified of her. They are a little scared.
Yeah. And then there's the Washington Post. This is how they framed the article. Donald Trump's first administration took an emotional toll on Rosie O'Donnell. She didn't think she could endure a second term. This time, O'Donnell had a plan. She moved to Ireland. Her brother Eddie says it's the best decision she's made, I think, in her life, honestly. I have no doubt that it's the best decision she made in her life because she's now cloistered and removed from, the world around her. But to suggest that the first term took its toll. No, you know what took its toll on Rosie O'Donnell? Hillary Clinton losing. That's when she went off. That's when she lost it. Here, this is her literally in February, 2 weeks after inauguration. Cut one here. This is Rosie O'Donnell.
To Donald Trump and his pathetic band of white, privileged, criminal businessmen, I would like to say to him, "Niet, sir, niet."
Oh, God.
Niet! Niet! No, we won't! We've seen what you have done, sir! We have seen your connections with Russia! The game is over! The internet rules! All media is universal!
Okay.
Yeah, God,
What do you mean Trump's first turn took its toll? That's the first week of Trump's presidency, and that's how she was.
Yeah, I do also love her screaming about white privilege when, because she didn't like the presidency, she moves to Ireland. Literally. Like, who does this? People that are very wealthy.
Is
right?
there a whiter country than Ireland?
Right, and then she moves to the whitest country on earth, right? I just find it so hilarious. But also just talk about privilege. Like, you know what? I really am so upset about this election. I'm moving to Spain. Like, I mean, you know, you can just move to another country and set up shop. You know, it's also worth saying that, you know, she is a mother. She's got some young kids living with her
Who
to
have
be
a lot.
To be uprooted like that and just at the sort of whim of your insane mother, it's very sad. She's adopted some of these kids.
Yes,
I don't
and the
think
children
should
she
have
is raising.
anything to do with children.
Not to drag the kids into it, but they do seem to have their own emotional problems and psychological issues that they're struggling with as well. It's not a healthy situation. None of that came up in the Washington Post profile, though, of course. And yes, one other item about her white privilege. You know, in 2010, there were a lot of people who were of all races, but they were predominantly described as white, who were very angry about the Obama administration. We would protest, we would shout sometimes, and we were called racist. We were the Tea Party movement, and it wasn't that easy to protest a president in the streets back then. Rosie, though, she's celebrated for the lies she spewed about Russian collusion and screaming at the president of the United States. That's just good old-fashioned patriotic protests when she does it. And now here she is, claiming that the 2024 election was stolen and that he is an illegitimate president. Kamala Harris is the rightful victor of that election. And the Washington Post did a beautiful, glowing profile of her. It's almost like there's a double standard in the media. It's 5:25.
You know, we've been following the transitioning of children. The left is really just dead set on transitioning kids. It's a terrible contagion all over the country. Well, that might be coming to an end thanks to some lawsuits. We'll give you an update. Keep it here. It's 5:30.
WMAL FM Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 5:37. Good morning, and thanks for tuning into O'Connor and Company here on this 10th day of December. Boy, the countdown is getting close to Christmas already if you haven't done your shopping. Like me, it might be time. I've actually done some shopping, just not all of it. Not enough. Coming up at 6:35, Cal Thomas will be our guest. At 7:05, Dr. Kevin Roberts at the Heritage Foundation. 7:30, I just want to caution you, he's not that kind of doctor. If you like sprain your ankle or something over at his house, he cannot help you. You're going to you cut yourself in the kitchen. Kevin Roberts is like, he can maybe hand you a Band-Aid, otherwise you're going to bleed out. He's not that kind of doctor. Doctor nonetheless. 7:35, Senator Ron Johnson will be our guest. 8:05, this guy is a doctor, Mehmet Oz. He's working for the government now, talking about Obamacare fraud. 8:35, Charles Billingsley, actor, part of the Kennedy Senators' Noel, Jesus is Born Christmas Spectacular. Good morning, Julie Gunlock.
Good morning.
Are you going to get that doctorate, by the way? Are you still planning on it? Or is that...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, working on it. Gonna happen.
Larry and the Doctor, mornings on
I'm
WMAL.
Larry and the Doctor.
As you just recently teased there a few minutes ago, there are quite a few lawsuits now that are pending. They could put an end to the transgender industry, and it is an industry, a very lucrative one at that, and the mania that resulted in, sadly, thousands of procedures on underage minors that severely and permanently warped their future. Either chemical castration with hormones that will forever affect their development and in many cases keep them from ever being able to procreate, to horrific, just sort of Dr. Frankenstein type surgical procedures on perfectly healthy human organs, all in the guise of allowing a person to continue to pretend that they are the gender that they were not born with, that they are not the sex that they were born with. A lot of those lawsuits, by the way, are going after the commercial entities and their private civil lawsuits, like Chloe Cole, a hero detransitioner who is leading the fight, I believe, against Kaiser Permanente in Southern California.
Yes.
But now there's this, and this might actually speed things up quite a bit. The Attorney General of the state of Florida yesterday announced major lawsuits against the American Academy of Pediatrics, the Endocrine Society, and WPATH. That's the organization that, we've seen emails that the internal debates recognizing the permanent damage that would be done here, and conflicting studies that suggest that transitioning a child doesn't do anything to help their mental health.
They're the, as Ketanji Brown Jackson said, they're the credentialed class of people who were kind of sprung up to say, oh no, cutting off 13-year-olds' breasts is totally great, and lobbing off child penises is totally normal. So this is that group that sort of had this imprimatur of legitimacy, when in reality they were just hiding the studies that say don't do this stuff.
In fact, we experts determine that you parents, if you don't give the green light for these kind of procedures, your child will probably kill themselves, and it'll be your fault. It'll be on your head. You want a dead kid, or you want a kid that goes through these procedures? Which
gave rise to politicians like Elizabeth Guzman in Virginia, state senator, who said, we should take your children from you if you don't affirm them, because they could kill themselves, so that you're a danger to them. That's how this all works.
Julie, brilliant. And one minor correction. You just said that in past tense, and that's not in the past.
That's right.
Elizabeth Guzman and your incoming governor here, Abigail Spanberger, refuses to rule out that type of legislation in the next session. Be on the lookout for it, for parents being removed from their own children.
Yep.
And in some cases, maybe even imprisoned if they don't go along with these procedures. So that's what's going on in some states. But in Florida, here's the Attorney General, James Othmeyer, making the announcement yesterday.
This is Attorney General James Othmeyer. Today I'm announcing that we are taking legal action against several powerful medical organizations: the World Professional Association for Transgender Health, the American Academy of Pediatrics, and the Endocrine Society. We believe these organizations failed to disclose the risks, limits, and evidence when promoting so-called gender-affirming care for children. For years, these groups insisted the recommendations were settled science, but behind closed doors, they knew the evidence was weak. They knew the outcomes uncertain, and the risks very real. Parents were not told the full story. In fact, some parents were told that if they didn't put their kids through permanent, life-altering, sick procedures like double mastectomies and castration, that their child would commit suicide. Not only is that unethical and dangerous medicine, but it is against the law. Children were irrevocably harmed because truth was replaced with political activism. When organizations make medical claims, they have a duty to be honest. When they intentionally mislead families, their members, and the medical profession, we hold them accountable. Florida will always follow the evidence, protect children, and defend parents' rights to make informed decisions. Thank you.
All right, key line there that jumped out to me. Children were irrevocably harmed because truth was replaced with political activism. Julie, I know you at Independent Women, you guys have been the tip of the spear on these issues. Will this make the difference when attorney generals start doing this
Yes.
and putting the weight of their states behind them?
Yes, and we have urged this kind of action. I think this is the only thing. You mentioned Chloe Cole's lawsuit against Kaiser Permanente. These lawsuits here, this is going to make all the difference because this can bankrupt these hospital systems and these medical systems and these private insurance systems.
That's right.
This is an existential threat. This isn't a plea for them to act morally or to do the right thing or to pay attention to the Cass review in England that came out that showed that this was terribly harmful to children and shouldn't be done. This isn't a plea to listen to the science. No, this is attacking their bottom line, their money. And that, as sad as it is, that's what's going to work.
The socialized medical systems in Western European nations like the United Kingdom and Scandinavia, they have all stopped funding and approving these procedures. They're actually ahead of us on this. We still have radical groups in America that are pushing this, and politicians and deep-pocketed political organizations that are continuing to fuel these things. And they won out in Virginia in this last election, that's for sure. But we'll keep fighting that fight, and we'll keep an eye on Florida. It's 5:44.
This afternoon on the Derek Hunter Show, a Democrat member of Congress calls the United States the Great Satan. Which one? All of them, really. We'll talk about it at 3 o'clock on WMAL.
If you're a Virginian and you saw that there might be a potential casino in your neighborhood soon with a new interest by Democrats leading the charge in Richmond, and you were hoping that it would be in your backyard, well, don't bet on it. At least if you're in Fairfax County. You see, Julia said don't bet on it for casinos. All right, never mind.
I see what you did. Very good.
I rolled the dice on it, and I apologize. You can't always draw to an inside straight. I'm not on the wrong side of that. Anyway, yesterday, the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors sent a strongly worded letter. In this case, it's true. It really was a strongly worded letter, but it made it clear that the Fairfax County Board would be totally opposed to any kind of casino that is currently being bandied about and suggested in the Tysons Corner area. But it's created this bit of a drama here that is really interesting. Real fast, in the letter it said, we understand the Commonwealth's desire to collect additional state tax revenue, but we know our residents would not accept the revenue share prescribed in the current statute or previously proposed legislation. So just so you know, this is about money. This is Fairfax is acting like, you know what, we're Fairfax County. We're a little higher end than that. We don't want the rabble. We don't want a casino.
Exactly.
We don't want the traffic. We don't. Which, by the way, those are all fair arguments to make. Can you imagine the traffic in Tysons Corner when you add a casino and a hotel and all that other stuff going on there? Not a good idea. You put it out somewhere. I have to say, Maryland has done it pretty well. Most of the casinos in Maryland that they put up are sort of out in areas that are already off the beaten path. It draws people to that area. And Arundel Mills, maybe not, but it doesn't become a huge traffic problem.
You know, we have the right over the bridge from Old Town.
Yeah, the MGM Harbor.
The MGM.
Yeah.
So it's sort of off.
And it's a bit of a destination. Yeah, I mean, if you are, if you're going to National Harbor, you're going to have traffic anyway. And so, you got some MGM. All right. But it's not about that. Listen to the language. Our residents would not accept the revenue share prescribed in the current statute. So this is typical mafia work. They're just trying to strong arm for a bigger share of the money. We don't want the traffic. We don't want the rabble. We don't want that unless you make it worth our while and you really make sure that we get enough. So Louise Lucas, this odious, obnoxious Senate president for the Democrats, and she's from downstate. She's not from Northern Virginia. She hates Northern Virginia Democrats.
She killed that stadium idea.
She did.
Yeah.
She killed the arena that was going to be for the Wizards and the Capitals to play in that Northern Virginia Democrats had agreed to.
Yes, which I have to tell you, it was so delicious watching the squirm.
Yes, except that Glenn Youngkin got caught in the middle of that fight.
Yeah, of course.
Sadly.
Felt bad about that. Yep.
So Louise Lucas responds to this Fairfax County Board of Supervisors, a kind of unprovoked attack on state Democrats by saying, I'm getting sick and tired of localities in Northern Virginia, especially Fairfax, spreading misinformation about being underfunded by the Commonwealth of Virginia. It's time to correct the record and stop these lies.
Does she sound like that?
No. I could do what she actually sounds like, but I would be immediately canceled.
Right, and fined. And fined.
So now we've got this fight between Democrats, and it's really all over how much money the county of Fairfax will get in revenue from this proposed casino. But it doesn't get to the roots of the question, which is, should there be a casino, legalized gambling at all in Virginia, which I, generally speaking, am okay with. But then the question is, where will those casinos be?
Yeah,
Tysons Corner, bad idea.
If you notice, there was a water shortage late last night because every Republican in the state was taking a shower because they agreed with Louise Lucas, who because Republicans, and I felt really dirty to agree with her, so I jumped in a scalding hot shower. But I will tell you, she's right. I'm sick and tired of Northern Virginia constantly complaining about this kind of stuff. Yes. They're the big babies of the state. And so, yeah.
And their votes ruin everything.
They do.
Yes.
They do.
They're basically, Fairfax is to the Commonwealth what California is to the nation.
Chicago to Illinois.
It's 5:53.